Okay, today we're diving into something pretty unsettling. A psychological tactic that honestly works in the shadows of our everyday lives, shaping our relationships right from the first hello. It's this silent, invisible battle for control, and it's not fought with words, but with these little behavioral whispers that we're all conditioned to just ignore. Understanding this is absolutely key to protecting yourself from threats you often don't even see coming.
You know, the source material just nails it with this quote. The war for control is often decided in the first few hours of a relationship through imperceptible social cues. Think about that. It's not the big obvious fights that set the power dynamic. It's this silent war that's fought with glances, with posture, with these tiny little decisions you might not even realize are being made for you. This is the dark paradox of what's called dominance priming. It's a calculated play to establish who's in charge right from the jump, setting the stage for everything that comes after.
All right, so let's pull this tactic out into the light. To really get a grip on how powerful it is, we need to define what dominance priming actually is. And maybe more importantly, what is the person using it truly after? Because trust me, it's not about winning a single argument. It's about owning the entire decision-making rulebook of the relationship.
So let's be clear. Dominance priming, or DP for short, is not an accident. It's a deliberate, covert tactic. It's the set of subtle behaviors designed from the ground up to create a power imbalance from the get-go. Now, the source material links this directly to narcissistic and even psychopathic traits, because at its core, it's all about getting effortless control. The whole point is to precondition someone for submission before they even know a negotiation is happening. It's like a psychological shortcut to the top of a two-person ladder, completely bypassing any need for mutual respect.
So what's the end game here? What does the manipulator really want? Well, it all boils down to one thing: seizing the decision-making authority. Because let's face it, in any relationship, the real power lies with whoever gets to decide. They pull this off with what we call tiny early behaviors, these subtle moves that seem totally harmless on their own. Things like controlling the environment, always being the one who picks the restaurant or sets the meeting time. They seize control without saying a word, by taking up more space or holding eye contact just a little too long. And they preempt your choices, making plans for both of you without even asking. Each little action seems small, maybe even helpful, but together, they build this powerful, invisible cage of control.
Okay, so we know what it is and we know what the goal is, but how in the world does it work so well? This isn't just random, it's a system, a three-stage mechanism that manipulators use to install themselves as the boss of a relationship. So let's break this whole insidious process down step by step.
And here it is. This is the pattern. It starts with a prime, that's the subtle signal of their supposed higher status. Then it moves to a test, where they check to see if the prime worked by getting you to comply. And finally, if they succeed, it hardens into a habit, where your submission just becomes an automatic reflex. Each stage flows right into the next, creating this vicious cycle that is incredibly hard to even notice, let alone break, once it's up and running.
So let's dig into that critical first stage, status signaling. This is the whole foundation of the manipulation. It's where the manipulator, through these deniable little actions, plants a seed in your subconscious mind. And that idea is simple. I'm the one with higher status here. I'm the natural leader. And they do all of this without saying a single word about power or control.
These are those tiny early behaviors we keep talking about. And you've seen this. Think about the person who leans back, draping their arms over the back of the couch. They're non-verbally claiming that territory. Or someone who holds that direct, unwavering eye contact, signaling, I'm not intimidated. When they make a decision for you, like we're going to the 8 p.m. movie instead of asking which movie do you want to see, that's not a suggestion. It is a preemptive strike against your own ability to choose. All of these actions are designed to trigger a very old part of our brain, that social deference instinct that's always trying to figure out who the authority figure is in the room.
So, the manipulator has sent the signal. They've primed you to see them as the authority figure. But that's not enough, is it? They have to know if the signal was received. And that brings us to the second and absolutely crucial stage, deference extraction. This is the test. This is the moment of truth where they confirm whether their little power play has actually worked.
And this is how they test you. It's always something incredibly small, a low-stakes challenge that you'd feel silly getting upset about. For example, a micro-correction. They might gently correct how you pronounce a word, or offer a helpful suggestion about the route you're driving. It seems so trivial, right? Almost kind. But its real purpose is to see if you will yield. If you just accept the correction, if you comply without any pushback, you have just confirmed their status as the authority. You've validated the power map they drew in stage 1. And every single time you give in on something small, you're making their position stronger and your own weaker.
So once the signal is sent and your compliance is confirmed, the cycle just repeats itself.
over and over and over. And with that constant repetition, the dynamic gets burned in. This leads us to the final and frankly chilling stage of the mechanism, habitual submission. This is where that unequal power dynamic becomes totally locked in, not as something you choose, but as an unconscious habit.
This is the end game. By repeating that loop of status signaling and deference extraction again and again, the manipulator literally trains you to submit. You start automatically letting them interrupt you, you just start to assume they'll be the one to make the weekend plans. Your default setting becomes yield. You yield the conversational floor, you yield control over your time, you yield decisions big and small. And just like that, without a single big fight, a brand new, fundamentally unequal relationship habit has been cemented. They are now by default in charge.
Wow. I mean, this all sounds incredibly calculated, doesn't it? So why does this happen? And more importantly, why is it so ridiculously effective? To answer that, we really need to look at the psychology underneath it all, both the manipulator's cold-blooded motivation and the target's all-too-human vulnerability.
You know, it really comes down to a psychological mismatch. For the manipulator, it's all about efficiency and avoiding risk. I mean, why have a messy, high-stakes battle for control later when you can win the war quietly, almost invisibly, in the first few hours? These tiny actions are perfectly deniable. If you call them out, they can just say, "What? I was just trying to help." But for the target, for you, the vulnerability is a deeply human one. We just want to avoid social friction. It is psychologically so much easier, so much less stressful to just go along with the micro-correction than to challenge it and make things awkward. And that natural desire for social peace, that's the very thing the manipulator weaponizes against you.
Okay, that was the dark part. Now let's talk about the solution. Because understanding this dynamic is the first critical step, but the real power comes from knowing how to actively fight back. This section is all about empowerment. It's about the real actionable strategies you can use to spot this happening and reclaim control.
The first tactic is called the Reciprocity Audit. And this concept is brilliant. It's a simple act of checking the balance of power in any decision. So when someone makes a one-sided choice for you, no matter how small, your job is to immediately inject a counter-choice. This isn't about being difficult, it's about consciously rebalancing the scales. It sends this clear, calm signal that says, hey, decisions around here, they get made together, not for me.
And here is the perfect real-world example. Someone at a restaurant says, "We'll both have the chicken." Now, on the surface, that might seem efficient or even polite, but it's a preemptive decision. It's a tiny power grab. The reciprocity audit is your calm, firm response. "Thank you, but I'll order for myself." Or if they say, "Let's meet at 7 at my usual spot," you can reply, 7:30 works better for me, and how about that new place downtown? It's simple, it's polite, and it is a profoundly powerful way to break the pattern before it even gets a foothold.
Okay, the second defense tactic operates on that nonverbal battlefield, which is where this whole thing begins. It's called asserting nonverbal parity. Now, parity just means equality. So this is all about consciously using your own body language to signal that you are on equal footing. You're refusing to accept the submissive role their nonverbal cues are trying to force on you. It's a silent negotiation where you simply refuse to fold your hand.
The key here is to take conscious action. If they lean back and spread out, you do the same. Don't shrink, don't make yourself smaller, occupy your space with confidence. If they use that assertive, unwavering eye contact, you match it. Don't be the first to look away. If they interrupt you, you can literally hold up a hand slightly and say, "Just let me finish this thought." You refuse to give up the conversational floor. Look, these aren't aggressive moves. They are acts of equality. They are counter signals that calmly tell the other person, "I see the hierarchy you're trying to build, and I don't accept my place at the bottom of it."
So, we've covered what dominance priming is, the three-stage mechanism, the psychology that fuels it, and the defenses that can stop it cold. Now, let's bring it all home and boil this down to the single most important message you need to walk away with today. This is the core principle for breaking the dynamic for good.
So after all of this, after peeling back all these layers, this covert manipulation, what is the one lesson? What is the one thing you absolutely have to internalize to protect yourself? What is the core truth of this entire dynamic?
This is it. This is the whole thing right here. The small concessions you make early are not politeness. They are the bricks in your psychological prison wall. Every single time you give in on a tiny decision, every time you let a micro correction slide just to keep the peace, you are handing them another brick. And brick by brick, a prison of habitual submission gets built around you, one you didn't even realize was under construction. Recognizing those early concessions for what they really are, tests of deference, that's the key to staying free.
So just remember this, dominance priming isn't about loud over-aggression. It uses those tiny early behaviors to silently establish who's in charge. The pattern is insidious. Status signaling exploits our natural social instincts, which then forces a deference extraction. When that's repeated, it locks in habitual submission. But your awareness breaks the entire loop. By consciously using the reciprocity audit to inject choice, and by asserting nonverbal parity to match the physical signals, you're doing something truly profound. You are refusing to yield your place in the social hierarchy. You are insisting on relational equality. And in that quiet, firm insistence, you don't just protect yourself, you dismantle their entire mechanism.